Good morning. Oh, you can do better than that. Come on, we know each other. Good morning. Thank you. I'm John Edgar. I'm the Executive Director of Community Development for All People, and I'm delighted to welcome each of you to this news conference to unfold the action plan for affordable housing on the south side of Columbus. Now, this event is the culmination of more than a year of work in which many of you were involved. Dozens of citizens and residents across the south side and more than 20 different organizations, housing developers, groups that are committed to the welfare and upbuilding of the community. And if you got one of the programs, and we hope you did, on the inside there's a list of the organizations that participated in the planning process. As we start, I want to take a moment to give special recognition to the one who made it all happen, which is Cindy Flaherty, who most of you know. Cindy has served as the facilitator and the consultant that kept us all at the table leading to these commitments that we're announcing today. As we start, also want to take a moment to recognize the elected officials who are with us, and we're grateful for your presence. We begin with City Council President Andy Ginther, who's here. We have at least two other members of council here, Shannon Harden and Councilwoman Page. So thanks to both of you for being with us. And then County Treasurer Ed Leonard is also here. Do we have any other elected officials that I've missed? Well, thank you for being with us. Over the past several years, the south side of Columbus has become an increasingly opportunity-rich community. If you live here, you know it. If you don't live here, all you need to do is drive down Parsons Avenue one time. If you start at the gateway to the south side at Parsons and Livingston, Nationwide Children's Hospital, this remarkable anchor institution, has invested more than $1 billion on their campus and $16 million or so in affordable housing. Come down the avenue here into the Southern Gateway area, and it's the John Maloney Health Center, this amazing Reeb Avenue Community Center. And in between, there are businesses coming in here doing wonderful things. There's a new library under construction. All of that has been undergirded by the investments in affordable housing. In less than a decade, it's well over $50 million that has been invested to create safe, decent, affordable homes. The South Side is, and I'm one of the residents, so I'm a true believer, it is this amazingly attractive place to live. We have neighborhoods that are vibrant and diverse, and increasingly, it's a place where the blight is receding, where opportunities are emerging. That's wonderful. But it also presents us with this essential challenge that we've come together to address. The challenge is, how do we make certain that everybody who lives here now, the folks who deserve the opportunity to benefit from the improvements, how do we make certain that those folks are able to remain here and to be the ones who enjoy all that's unfolding? So to achieve that, we brought together this remarkable group of folks. When we started, we turned to the Kirwan Institute for the Study of Race and Ethnicity at The Ohio State University, and they began to do some remarkable deep dives into the demographics. They looked at who lives here, the size of the families, what's the income of these different households, and then they overlaid that to the current reality of the housing stock. How many residential units are there? What condition are they in? Home ownership versus rental, single family, multifamily, the spread of rents and the sizes of the units. And putting that together, the folks from Kirwan, along with a lot of you in the room, we came to be able, with a pretty high degree of accuracy, to identify where are the gaps in housing and who are the people that are most vulnerable. So we got that information together, and then in the winter and into the spring, we did a series of sessions in which we brought the best and the brightest of the folks who are housing developers, folks from government entities at the city and state level, and folks who live in the neighborhood. And we began to talk about how do we develop a plan so that 10 years from now, everybody who lives here currently will still be present. And so we came up with strategies, and if you have the program, the 7 strategies are listed on the back. And then we went out into community meetings and we vetted those ideas, and that was great, but that was the beginning, not the end. That's when the really hard work was initiated. So in the spring, throughout the summer, and quite frankly, right up until this very morning, we've been working with a variety of entities to find the resources, the assets, the passion to actually implement these strategies. And the purpose of this news conference, its central idea is to simply announce who is committing to do what so this goal can be achieved. All too often, on the south side, but quite frankly all across central Ohio, and really all across the country, folks are great about producing strategies, talking about we have a current reality and a preferred future, and these are the great ideas to get there. The problem is all too often the strategies stop with a series of statements about what somebody else could do, should do, or I think ought to do. And today, we come before you with a completely different approach. We did the hard work. We got the researchers, the neighborhood folks. We came up with the ideas. But we stand before you not with a series of announcements about what someone else ought to do, but rather we looked at our available resources. We talked and encouraged each other, and we stand before you to announce what we will do, what we're committed to achieve, so this big goal will become a reality. There actually are 14 different organizations who are here today, and there's a 15th that got added in this morning, who are publicly committed to achieve parts of these strategies. So you have one other sheet, which is the listing of the strategies, but also action plans. Not those primarily shoulds or woulds, but what these groups are committing to do. So I'd like to read the names of these organizations, and if you are affiliated with one of those, on staff, a board member, as I read the names, I would invite you to stand, and then just remain standing till all the names are read. So I begin with the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio, and if you're part of that alliance, if you would stand at this time and remain standing, please, and several of you are. The Affordable Housing Trust, Central Ohio Community Improvement Corporation, the City of Columbus, Community Development Collaborative of Greater Columbus, Community Development for All People, Community Housing Network, Habitat for Humanity Mid-Ohio, Homeport, the Legal Aid Society of Columbus, Lutheran Social Services, in collaboration with the United Way of Central Ohio, the Seymour Family Foundation, and the Community Shelter Board, Nationwide Children's Hospital, the NRP Group, Southside Renaissance, and as of this morning, Community Properties of Ohio as well. All right, let's give a round of applause, even if it's just to ourselves. All right. Thank you much, and you may be seated. I'm not going to read all of these strategies or the action plans. We have a couple of other folks who will be speaking in just a moment. They'll highlight some elements. I just want to take my closing comments in a moment to talk about how some of these cluster together. First of all, there are 2 of the 7 that focus on the most at-risk folks in the community right now. People with the least income, the ones who are most vulnerable to being displaced, the ones who, quite frankly, sometimes are being displaced right now. And so we have established as a strategy and emerging commitments to develop in the next few years an additional 250 units of housing that is affordable to people below 50% of median income. Then there's a second component in this strategy saying that we simply have to come together as a community to develop greater subsidies for rent for people who are very low income. But the strategy is not just about those who are economically furthest at the margins. It's about all of us on the South Side. So there are aspects of this strategy that focus on what's been working well. I mean, where that money's gone and the transformation it's achieved. So neighborhood-specific, place-based revitalization here in Southern Gateway and Southern Orchards, and a plan to see that ripple across all of the South Side. There's a tremendous emphasis in this initiative on rental housing because the vast majority of folks are renters, and we need high-quality rental housing. And so we've developed a responsible landlord network in which landlords are taking the pledge to maintain high-quality units, abide by fair housing standards, and then we are helping to promote those landlords. There's now an interactive website, and you can access it actually at the end of the session here on this computer, that'll connect you to each of those responsible landlords, to the units they have available. We also have created here in this space a housing hub, a one-stop shop for people who want information and assistance on maintaining quality housing. That's staffed by folks from Community Development for All People, but it's a collaboration with all these groups, especially some of them are in this same building. So we're working closely with Lutheran Social Services and an amazing initiative from the Seymour Family Foundation to help provide intense case management to folks who are immediately at risk of becoming homeless. The City of Columbus Southside Neighborhood Pride Center is just down the hall and provides additional resources. And then home ownership, of course, matters. Many of us in this room have been developing homes for ownership for more than a decade in this community. And we want to stay at that. We want to help existing homeowners, many of whom are severely cost burdened. Homeowners paying more than 50% of their income just to stay in their houses. And we want to help more people achieve the dream, when it's their dream, of becoming a first-time home owner. So all these things are wound together, but the big news is 14 groups promising not to ask somebody else, but committing themselves to do what we can. Our commitments today are the beginning, not the end. Because we're starting, we're confident that we will have a magnetic attraction and draw others to the center who will add their commitments. And so we plan to be back in the middle of 2016 with the next round of commitments. At this time, I want to ask Angela Mingo, the Director of Community Outreach for Nationwide Children's Hospital, to come and speak. And the hospital is this amazing anchor institution, the champion of revitalization of the South Side. So please welcome Angela.
Well, thank you, Reverend Edgar. Good morning, everyone. Well, it gives me a great sense of pride to join you this morning to share in the commitment of expanding access to affordable housing on the South Side. In 2008, Nationwide Children's Hospital embarked on a neighborhood initiative, Healthy Neighborhoods, Healthy Families, with the support of Southside leaders and a strong Community Development Corporation partner in CD4AP. We saw an opportunity to build upon the efforts of the city's Home Again program, a then newly formed initiative to rehabilitate vacant and blighted properties for home ownership. The hospital's housing program, Healthy Homes, began with its first renovation, which was located on Carpenter Street, just immediately south of the hospital's campus. This has resulted in the improvement of over 120 residential homes. Nationwide Children's Hospital is proud to partner with Southern Orchard Civic Association, Ginther's Place, and the Columbus Southside Area Commission to increase access to affordable housing options for new and existing residents. We are grateful to the partners who have joined us with commitments to the work that has been completed and the work that lies ahead as we collectively move forward with an action plan committed to nothing less than getting results. As the South Side becomes more opportunity-rich, increasing access to affordable, safe, and decent housing, along with economic development within the boundaries of the South Side, helps to maintain a strong and vibrant community. Children and families are best equipped when the basic need of stable housing is met. Today's action plan represents a strategy developed with the input of Southside leaders and housing partners dedicated to building upon community assets that have been aligned to carry this most important work forward. We thank you for joining us today, and thank you for being our partners.
Our next speaker is E.J. Thomas, the president and CEO of Habitat for Humanity Mid-Ohio. He is also the chairperson of the newly formed Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio, which is going to have amazing impact in this community.
You know, I was listening to John. If you did not have Reverend in front of your name, I would still have to say he's an evangelist. And what a great thing for the South Side, because it's, John's energy has had the effect of pulling an awful lot of folks together to work in a common interest for the stated goals that you shared with us this morning. We have been pleased to be in John's orbit as Habitat for Humanity Mid-Ohio in building some 30 homes down here so far. Our plan is to build 5 homes in each of the next several years and as far into the future as we can develop the funding to do so, because we believe in home ownership here on the south side for those in the 30 to 60% average median income range, so that it does help provide that mix of rental and home ownership opportunity, giving folks a chance and some hope to be able to move up should they decide to make application and put in their sweat equity and pay their mortgage at the end of the day. Oh yes, it's at 0%, but it's still a mortgage. I'm really pleased to be here as a representative of the Affordable Housing Alliance. Our 11 members are some really, really great people that are on that are in this group to help move the needle on affordable housing, not only here on the south end, but in central Ohio. 811, remember that number. $811 is what the average 2-bedroom apartment is costing right now in central Ohio, which explains why 63% of low-income folks are cost burdened because they're spending more than half of their income just on a place to stay. You've all been through Economics 101, you know, as the supply of something goes up, the cost comes down. We have a shortfall in this city of about 54,000 affordable units. And so our goal, as we have stated here for the last month and a half, since we've been public, is to work toward reducing that by half over the next 10 years, which means we need to be bringing 2,700 units online. Now that'll cause some in the room to hyperventilate, but unless we pull folks together, using John's model of doing so, and John is a member of our team, we'll not get there. And so how do we do this? We've all heard the trite analogy of using the milking stool, but it's just a fabulous little gadget with 3 legs on it. And for us, pulling together a working group that would involve the one leg on that stool that is our nonprofit groups, all of our folks in the Alliance, another of those legs being our committed corporate community here in Central Ohio, and the third being our policymakers, to all get in the room and use the talents that everybody brings to the table to work toward this goal, is where we're headed. And we're delighted to, in the conversations that we've had with members of council and in the county, that they're raising their eyebrows and saying, you know what, we think we're interested. And so we're hoping to go from we think you're interested to being on the team and helping us move this needle. So again, we're delighted to be here on the south side, both as Habitat and as the Alliance. And John, thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you, EJ. Our next speaker is Erin Sink. She is a member of the Southside Area Commission, and she is elected to represent the tenants and homeowners. She's been an active participant in this entire process. Erin?
Well, good morning. If you've spent much time here on the south side, you've likely noticed that there's an electricity in the air of late. From the beautifully restored building we're in right now, to the new businesses and developments along Parsons Avenue, to the state-of-the-art library space that's under construction just up the street, we see these new opportunities are cropping up everywhere. And if you spent some time here, you've probably also recognized what I think is one of the greatest strengths we have, the diversity and the strong heritage that are really hallmarks of all the neighborhoods down here on the south side. It is that diversity that gives each neighborhood its character and its charm, and it really is what draws residents like myself to these communities. And that is why we're here today. Many communities across the country and across the state have struggled to find a path forward where they experience development that enhances rather than dilutes the diverse heritage that are the core of our communities. This housing strategy unveiled here today is a vision and a plan that will create those opportunities on the south side while not displacing the current residents that have been here. I'm very proud to have worked with this group of wonderful partners. The Columbus Southside Area Commission remains committed to working with all of our partners in the community to bring a bright and opportunity-rich future for all those that live on the south side. Thank you.
Our final speaker is City Council President Anthony Ginther, and we are delighted to have you here to express his comments. And at least from my perspective, when we talked about there'd be more and more things to announce over time, I'm hoping that City Council President is going to be talking about what more we can anticipate to build on the amazing investments that the city has already made on the south side. Either commitments today or commitments forthcoming. Who knows? All right. Thank you.
John always knows how to get the best out of you. But thank you, John, and thank you to everyone here. Good morning, and it is an honor to be with you today. As was just shared, these are pretty amazing times in Columbus, and in particular, this very special part of our city. Less than a month ago, Councilmember Hardin, Councilmember Page, and I joined the mayor to cut the ribbon and open the doors of this amazing Reeb Avenue Community Center. As I said then, the Reeb Center will provide Southside families new opportunities to grow, to learn, to work, and to thrive. This neighborhood and our city will be stronger as a result of our collective investment. The Reeb Center is the latest example of the type of collaboration that is moving the Southside forward. And it's the result of the shared commitment by public partners, not-for-profit leaders, and Southside champions like the Grody, Crane, and Kelly families, whose personal investments help make the changes we see a reality. The Reeb Center complements the city's investment in the John Maloney Health Center, which provides high-quality health care services, including crucial family practice and prenatal care for neighborhood families. And combined, the two facilities will provide the services that Southside residents need and that every neighborhood deserves. However, despite great progress, the Southside still lacks affordable housing, high-quality affordable housing. While I stood with Reverend Edgar to help open the Parsons Village Senior Apartments, a $10 million investment that will provide safe, affordable housing for older members of the Southside community, and while I am pleased by the efforts of housing partners like Habitat for Humanity, who are working to make homeownership a reality for Southside families, still more needs to be done to improve access to affordable housing on the South Side and across Columbus. That's why today's announcement of an affordable housing strategy for the South Side is so exciting. It charts a path for the future of this great neighborhood and puts in place an actionable plan to build and renovate new housing units, improve rental opportunities, and promote home ownership for current and new residents. Some of these strategies built upon past success, like the City Council's home renovation funds, originally targeted to veterans, but expanded to neighborhoods around Columbus, which have helped cover the cost of minor repairs to keep residents safe in their homes and in their neighborhoods. Other strategies complement City Council's investment with short-term rent assistance, which helps tenants cope with unexpected life challenges, make their monthly rent, and avoid eviction and homelessness. Still, other strategies are entirely new or reflect new partnerships that can change the way residents receive the services and counseling needed to secure affordable housing, stay in their homes, and provide a stable environment for their families. Great credit is due to Community Development for All People for developing the Housing Hub, a one-stop shop for residents to access the resources needed to secure safe and affordable housing. These services are what make the Reeb Center a hub of hope for Southside residents. While I want to commend Community Development for All People for their efforts, perhaps what is most compelling about the Southside Housing Initiative is the fact that it is not the product of one group or one person, but of 14 housing and service organizations that have partnered to develop a plan with the residents of the South Side. The 14 entities include many of the same organizations that form the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio, a group of affordable housing advocates and providers that are committed to increasing access to affordable housing, not just on the South Side, but throughout our great community. I met with several of these partners just a couple weeks ago to learn more about their efforts and to better understand what we as a community are up against. The facts, as presented, are sobering. The bottom line is Columbus has a shortfall of 54,000 safe, affordable, and accessible housing units. But the Affordable Housing Alliance didn't present a problem without a solution. In fact, they presented a 10-year plan to cut the affordable housing deficit in half. The Southside Housing Action Plan embodies many of the solutions to increase the stock of affordable housing citywide and serves as a model to help neighborhoods develop housing initiatives that contemplate the strengths and challenges that individual neighborhoods face. So what's holding us back from applying the strategies unveiled today in neighborhoods across Columbus? The Southside Housing Strategy Group, the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio, and all of the entities that comprise both groups can't generate 27,000 housing units over the next 10 years on their own. The plan requires the commitment of the entire community, including the public, private, and not-for-profit sectors. And it needs the support of elected leaders willing to make affordable housing a priority and to leverage their influence to bring all necessary stakeholders to the table to not only refine the plan, but to put it into action and ultimately help identify the necessary public and private resources needed to drive results. Today, as President of Columbus City Council, I am pleased to commit my support to the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio, and I'm excited about the opportunity to help lead a collaborative effort to close the affordable housing gap over time, not overnight. I look forward to working with many, if not all of you, to engage the entire community, to improve access to safe, affordable, and accessible housing, and to help more Columbus families achieve home ownership. I am so grateful to be able to join you here today and make this commitment to help moving our Southside neighborhoods and our entire city forward. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's a fitting conclusion to our news conference, and one more commitment. We just keep getting them day after day, week after week. We can achieve these goals on the South Side and throughout all of Columbus and Franklin County. Thank you for being here. If there are any questions from people in the media, we can do that. Otherwise, we can just talk to one another. But any questions from media folks at this time? In that case, we'll declare that the news conference is concluded. Thank you very much for your investment in this initiative. Okay.